Here's what I want you to remember tonight. I believe the Federal Reserve System is a scam. Now, it may not have been set up that way, but that's what it is today, and you could pretty easily talk me into it was set up this way. You can see this, I believe, by just these four things. One, we're not allowed to see who owns the Fed. What private corporation do you know has a wall around it so you can't ask any questions about who owns this, who's involved here? Two, we're not allowed to audit the Fed. Can't even see the books. Secret, you know. Three, they now are our biggest lender, bigger than China. And four, I'm pretty sure their affiliates are now the biggest receiver of federal funds in bailout money. I'm going to show you how this whole thing is a scam with two charts tonight. First, let's go over to Spain. The new prime minister claimed 2 weeks ago, Spain definitely out of trouble. What? We don't need a bailout of any kind. Then this weekend he came out and said, okay, maybe just a little bit. All right, I just formally want to ask for $125 billion. But that's just that. Other than that, we're good. The billions in bailouts that the European Union, the EU, has given Greece, Portugal, Ireland, and coming soon, Italy, isn't working. How do I know? Well, you have to look at the interest rates. You have to see what the market is saying. Did anybody buy into this crap even for a day? They used to for a while. Now they're not. See, what they're trying to do is instill confidence into the market. They're trying to give everybody confidence so they'll lend money to Spain because Spain needs to borrow more money. And nobody's buying their bonds, and the interest rates keep going higher and higher and higher. Okay, if we pay this much, then will you give us the money? It's like if you have a bad credit and you're trying to get a credit card or a house or a car. The interest rate gets higher and higher and higher until you can't afford it, right? Because you have bad credit. So what they're trying to do is convince everybody, bad credit, no, they're fine. They want to keep the interest rates low so Spain could borrow. But $125 billion just given to them didn't even buy them a day's worth of time. The markets are down and the interest rates are up. This is like a patient with a flesh-eating bacteria given the strongest antibiotic, and everybody's like, watch what happens when we give the patient this. This is going to clear up like crazy. And they inject the patient with it, and they're like, look at this. His fever just went up. This didn't even break the fever. No matter what the doctor would say at that point, if you're the patient, you'd be like, I'm dying, aren't I? No, not die. What? No, we're going to give you exactly the same antibiotic, just a lot more of it soon. This is working. This is working. Really? You're the dying patient, you would know. So why are we as a people denying this? This weekend, leaders met in Brussels and Madrid to figure out a brand new approach for Spain. And, you know, they come out from behind closed doors, and they're like, yes! We figured it out. They come out walking. Remember in Ghostbusters when they walked down there like, we came, we kicked its ass. Remember that? That's the way they came out. Except they didn't have the little box with the steam and the ghost inside. They were giddy to show the world their brilliant new plan. And here's what it was. Right now, the taxpayers are all paying taxes to the European Union. And they love it. They love the EU. No, they don't. So they were paying all of it to the EU, and the EU is giving it to the European Central Bank. The central bank has been sending all this money to Spain because Spain is in trouble. But Spain has been borrowing money from their banks. So they keep getting money from the banks to Spain, but now the banks are in trouble, right? Because Spain is in trouble. And the banks are failing because they've got a whole bunch of bad debt. They got a whole bunch of houses and everything else that nobody wants, and the country's in trouble. Okay, so here was the brilliant idea, eraser, here's the brilliant idea of the ECB. Let's stop giving money to Spain. Instead, let's give it directly to the banks. Then we don't have to worry about Spain. That's it? That's your brilliant plan? Spain doesn't give the money the banks do, and then the banks give it to Spain, and then Spain spends it? Really? You're excited about that? The markets jumped when reports of a new plan came out, but then when the details were released, people were like, that's it? The markets came crashing back to earth. All early gains were erased by the end of the day. This actually makes things worse for Spain because, one, everybody knows now the banks are weak and failing, and two, it's transferred all the bank property losses over to the government. So the government, which was wobbly in the balance sheet area anyway, they're even worse off now. They're socializing the bank losses and in the process saddling Spain with even more debt. Now, here's something that should concern you. Remember Dr. Doom? I believe that's Nouriel Roubini, isn't it? Dr. Doom. And Neil Ferguson, they both have a pretty solid track record there on, on predicting things. And they say this approach spells disaster for the EU. Uh-oh. Gang, it's a shell game. It's a massive Ponzi scheme. One so big it makes Bernie Madoff look like he was, at the dollar store thieving, cupcakes. Well, not cupcakes, but like cupcake pans. Well, it's only $1, It's the same game also being played by the Fed. A new report out this weekend shows that under Obama, the Fed's holdings of the U.S. debt has jumped 452%. No, it's bigger than that. Can you make it bigger than that? Thank you. It's actually bigger than that. I don't know, can you make it bigger than that? 452%. That's huge. Again, this means two things. One, when we can't afford to pay for things, we no longer take out a loan from China. They're not the bank of last resort anymore. They're even like, you know what? You guys keep getting hungry again every 30 minutes. I'm not giving you any more. It's the Fed. Look at this chart on how much they've loaned. Here we are. Here's George Bush. Go ahead, put it in. You'll love this. Our loans from the Fed have quintupled since January of 2009. Obama is inaugurated. Whoa, what happens? It has gone from $400 billion to, brace yourself, $1.688 trillion. That's reality number one. Number two, this chart shows that Ben Bernanke was absolutely, unequivocally lying to you and to Congress when he said he wasn't ever going to monetize our debt. He was lying by a small margin of 452%. That makes the Fed America's #1 customer, the largest owner of U.S. government debt. China is a distant second with $1.1699 trillion.